Hello and welcome to In the Spotlight with QuoCircuit, the definitive podcast on digital disruption in the print industry. I'm Louella Fernandez, Director of QuoCircuit, and today I'm joined by Radek Tetik, CTO of MyQ. We'll be discussing artificial intelligence, how MyQ are using it and applying it to their technology and products, and also hearing more about MyQ's product strategy for 2024. So welcome to the show, Radek.
Thank you, Louella. I'm happy to be here, definitely.
So before we get into the discussion, could you tell us a bit about yourself and your role at MyQ?
So, as you said, I'm a CTO of MyQ. I actually co-founded MyQ with my friend Martin and Jakub. So at the moment, I'm serving as CTO, and my main responsibility is to guide our development teams and basically work on MyQX and MyQ Roger, which are our products.
Okay, yeah, because I know it was around this time last year we joined MyQ for its 30th anniversary, and that was an amazing event. And it was great to hear how the whole MyQ story developed and how it's such a successful company today. So it's a really good timing to understand a bit more about MyQ and its strategy. So firstly, I wanted to ask you specifically about artificial intelligence and what your views are on AI in the workplace, and maybe how you would consider defining it for the purposes of the application of AI technology to your products and solutions.
AI these days is basically a very hot topic. I think it started last year with the ChatGPT introduction. So again, there is a hype about AI. So I think, these days, pretty much everybody knows a little bit what does it mean. But maybe it's good to do some summarization. So as I understand AI, it's something which originally only people could do, some let's say tasks which require some intelligence. So computers were not able to do that originally. Only people could, like vision, understanding what you see, what you hear, some language, natural language, understanding, general learning or inferring from information, reasoning. So these are the traditional human tasks, but these days we are more and more, let's say, close to having computers which are able to do that. So the AI started after the Second World War in '50s. I think there were some first attempts to define the field. AI is actually a field. It's a broad area, broad field. Which the most popular part of AI these days is definitely deep learning, which is using neural networks, right? And ChatGPT is a prime example. So it's quite along with us. Every decade we had some progress. So now the latest hype is the ChatGPT, and as an example, in the last decade, Siri or the other voice assistants were a great thing, which became popular among general people. Autonomous cars, definitely, there is a great progress since 2000s, right? And translations, so we can now translate from any language to any language. So there is a huge progress, and the last let's say great thing is this generative AI technologies, which can produce texts or images or whatever, some animations even, right? So AI has progressed very much, and what is good to point out that these algorithms or ideas how the AI should work are here for many decades. As I said, we started in the 50s, but what we lacked, I think, is the computing power. So the great enabler of where we are today, the great enabler of AI is the, let's say, Moore's law, I would say, which gives you a double amount of transistors in a chip every kind of second year. So that's a great enabler. Now we have great computing power, which enabled ChatGPT, let's say, because these deep learning techniques, they used a lot of computing power. And another aspect which helped, I would say, progress very much is the internet itself, because now basically the knowledge of the whole humanity kind of is on the internet. So there is a great source from where the AI can learn. And maybe a third thing I would mention here is the availability of tools. So now, let's say, everyday people can start training their models. They have the computing power at their fingertips. So it's got into more hands, and everybody can start taking advantage of it. So that's very nice progress, and I'm really looking forward what will happen next. Because the ultimate goal definitely is the general artificial intelligence. That's something some computer which can do basically anything. But yeah, this is always a decade away, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that, artificial intelligence has been around for many decades. Even I studied it when I was at university, and like you say, it's now come to the point where the power of the chips is enabling AI to be democratized effectively for a broader audience, and that's really in the shape of ChatGPT and similar conversational and generative AI models, which are becoming more prevalent. And I think that's, like you say, it's a bit of a perfect storm in terms of those capabilities and the tools as well. And I think with any new technology, there's always going to be concerns and fears around what this means for us in terms of our individual lives and also in businesses. But I think there's also tremendous opportunities, and it'll be interesting to hear actually. So in terms of how MyQ are using AI, because as you mentioned, it's not only the generative AI, but it's also sort of machine learning and deep learning. So I'll be curious to understand how you're using it in your products and your development of your products, and also perhaps how you're using it from a customer service perspective as well.
Okay, so in MyQ, we always watch the trends, what's new in the market, and we always try to find a way how to integrate these advanced technologies, which are sometimes complex to use on its own, right? So we always combine things and always wanted to create a product where users can take advantage of advanced stuff like AI, and just, for example, with one click do something very powerful. So we are watching AI, definitely. And it's good to mention that we are using AI from the beginning of MyQ in 2007, because OCR systems are basically based on AI algorithms, machine learning. So integrate MyQX and MyQ Roger have OCR built in. So this is something which is with us for a couple of years already. And we are looking further. So for example, in MyQ Roger, our cloud solution, we are now integrating with HP Scan AI service, which is, let's say, advanced document processing service based on AI algorithms. So it definitely does OCR, which is kind of standard, but it can do document classification or intelligent extraction of data, or another like separation, or another let's say features. So with HP Scan AI, you can train your own model on your, let's say, own data, and basically get a classification like order, invoice, and then apply another model which can extract total or items or address from the document. So, and you can do that with one click on the device panel. So.
And that's interesting, because I did see a demo of HP Scan AI earlier this year at their event, their big global partner event, and it was really sophisticated. So could you share maybe a bit more about what types of customers are using that? And are you seeing a demand from your customers to have those kind of capabilities from an OCR perspective?
Usually customers demand such a systems when they still receive any let's say orders, invoices, or even some agreements in a paper form. So they always want us to implement such a workflow that they can come to the device, scan it, and it will just magically materialize in their system. So it's like these kind of customers who still deal with paper orders, paper invoices, accounting companies, a typical example. So when they need to process lots of invoices from customers. So that's a great help.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the kind of print and scan trends you're seeing. But in terms of the AI side, so you're using it already, and like you say, it's been embedded in MyQ technology for some time. So are you using generative AI and things like ChatGPT for customer service support or anything like that as well?
We started to use it in our documentation, because we now heavily invest in improving our documentation about our products. So that's lots of information. So we thought that could be a nice, let's say, data source for such a thing as ChatGPT. So we now integrated ChatGPT bot to our documentation site. You can see it in the corner of the site, and you can start questions, and it learned from our documentation, and it can do some nice combination of information and give you some answers. But definitely, as you know, that ChatGPT is not like 100% reliable. So sometimes you get some not so precise information, but we are monitoring this, and we are improving the docs all the time to, let's say, give it as good data as possible. So, these hallucinations, let's say, are not so common.
Yeah, and I think that's always the challenge with adopting generative AI technology, is that, like you say, it relies on the training data, and the results can always be quite variable, and you're never quite confident in terms of how accurate it is. So I suppose for many companies like MyQ, you're at the stage of testing and improving that capability.
It requires verification, basically, if it does what we need. And it's definitely about the data. You need a good source of data, because it cannot just, come with something which doesn't exist. So
so it's interesting to see that you've already started using it to help your customers find the information they need much faster than just going through sort of reams of documentation. So I can see how that would be much more efficient for your customers. One
more thing, maybe we are working now on including ChatGPT technologies in our mobile app, because we use it also for scanning. So if you, for example, if you want to have a quick summary of a page, then you can just scan it with our app, and it will give you some summary, like a couple of sentences, what the page is about. So this kind of little things, but it can help in the end, or it can give you a quick translation. So we are integrating these ChatGPT features into our mobile app also.
Yeah, because as you say, it's very powerful in terms of helping translations. And I've noticed that there's now some ability with things like this with the podcast. You can use AI to automatically translate it into multiple languages using your own voice. And I think it's incredible how the speed and scale of the changes with AI and how it can really have an impact. So I just wanted to come back to some of the trends around print and scan, because obviously you get great access to information from your customers in terms of what they're printing, where they're printing, what devices, and so on. And I know you integrate with, pretty much all the brands in the market. So I'm just interested to know what sort of trends you've seen in terms of print usage, and whether print volumes are starting to recover, and whether you're seeing that offset by an increase in capture and scan volumes on the other side.
We have telemetry services for our products. So when the customer opts in, let's say, we anonymously can monitor some metrics about what their performance, what they are doing, and of course about switches, which features are turned on and off, and so on. But for that, we also use some AI analyzers like Power BI. So we get some insights from that. And we can see that of course COVID was crazy. Everything went down. But that was a special situation. So now it's definitely recovering. But I would say that we still see the long-term trend that it's slowly lowering. The fleets are getting a little bit smaller, so they are consolidating machines. So from that point of view, I think the global trend we also see that a little bit the volume is going down. But it's quite logical because of the digital transformation and all the, let's say, cloud tools available, storage, online offices, and so on. Collaboration tools like Zoom, it's there, and so the need for actual print out is not so strong. But I still like to print things. But we see the trend of this going down. In the scanning, I would see it's kind of flat, or maybe a little bit growing. We see some demand for support for dedicated scanning devices, so people are maybe buying more of these dedicated scanners. So it's not MFP anymore, but maybe just the scanner, because they do the digitalization. So I think these trends we see, and that's what we need to somehow, let's say, react to.
Yeah, and I think that, like you say, it's the same industry wide in terms of that change, and the how do businesses in this industry offset the decline in print volumes with new products and services that are focused more on digitisation. You mentioned something there around analytics and AI, and I just wondered if you can elaborate in terms of whether you see an opportunity to use AI in terms of predictive analytics, and not just only in understanding usage, sort of print usage or scan usage, but also around the sustainability area, because we see AI as potentially having an application for businesses to better understand their environmental footprint as well, and maybe make changes to the device settings and so on. And I'm just interested in whether you've seen any demand for that, or whether you're investing in predictive analytics in that way.
We are collecting, as I said, many metrics throughout telemetry, especially about what features the customer is using. So what is turned on and off, and how much of that feature is being used. So, and we use this to decide what to do next. Let's say what to improve, or maybe where to push in marketing or in some education, because people usually are happy with the basic features, so maybe they don't know about the advanced ones. So we use it for this purposes, to better understand the users. And my colleague is actually doing it, and he's using Power BI, and there are some predict, like I cannot tell exact details what algorithms he's using, but he said that he's definitely using some AI-based predictions, or data classifications, some outlier detection of outliers and these kind of things from the data set. So through Microsoft Power BI.
Yeah, and I think that could potentially be very sort of powerful for the industry to use AI for. I think it's already been used to a certain extent in terms of predictive service and support, but I think in terms of analytics and uncovering opportunities for digitisation and those kind of use case scenarios using predictive analytics could be a really interesting application of AI. So as I said at the beginning, it's about a year ago since you held your big 30th anniversary event, and I remember Martin going through some of the new technology and new platform launches you were planning for this year. So I thought maybe this is a good opportunity for you to update us on where you are with that strategy, and what your plans are in terms of new product releases.
Yeah, it's a year, almost exactly. So it was definitely a great event, a great experience for me. We hosted almost 300 people. And it was a pleasure to share with them, let's say, the history over 3 decades, and definitely our visions. And I personally discussed with many partners, so they explained their wishes or their pains. So there was some source for our roadmap or for our work we did in the past year. So we definitely continued to work on our MyQX on-premise solution. So soon we will be releasing version 10.2. This time we focused on the embedded terminal design itself. So we much improved the login screen design, the way how you set up the scanning and printing parameters. So there will be a very nice improvement, and I think it's very really beautiful how it will look. We totally reworked how we deploy printers or queues to PCs. So now it's much more easier. All admins can just click it in the MyQ administration UI, and everything will kind of magically happen and be installed, including printer drivers and so on. So there is a great improvement in that. We are improving bring your own device area. So, and many other smaller things which will make the life of the admins and users easier in MyQX 10.2. We introduced the idea of MyQ Next on the show. MyQ Next is, let's say, a successor of MyQX, our on-premise solution. The main idea there is that we want to move all the settings to some center place. So our print servers are basically headless agents. And another thing in MyQ Next is that you can attach MyQX print server to MyQ Roger Cloud solution. So it will greatly, let's say, improve the possibilities of MyQ Roger, because especially when you are transiting from on-premise solution to cloud, maybe not all your printers are cloud enabled, because you need let's say good platform which is cloud enabled to be like, let's say, true cloud solution. So basically by connecting the MyQX site server to MyQ Roger Cloud solution, you can transition smoothly, because you can move you can buy, for example, 5 new devices which are cloud enabled, and continue with the old fleet through this print server. So we want to create such a one platform or some hybrid solution which will help you, especially in these transition scenarios. Or if you have some let's say a complex workflow and you don't want to go to the cloud and back with some heavy big files or whatever, you can still do it on premise with a special integration of on premise and cloud. So that's for MyQ Next. That's heavily in development. So we are working hard on it. And of course, MyQ Roger, we still work very hard to get there as many features as possible, because the on-premise solutions, there are thousands of features that need to be, let's say, moved to cloud, but in some smart way, because in cloud you can do things better. So we want to introduce soon a print management module in Roger, which will give you all the print policies, printing rules, quotas, and all these features well known from on-premise solutions. We are working hard on macOS support and integration with HP Scan AI, which is in beta now. And of course, we are working on our print sharing concept in MyQ Roger, because we are trying to attack the printing in cloud from different angles, let's say. So MyQ Roger definitely still very active development. It's our future.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, because I know with MyQ Next that was discussed last year, and it makes a lot of sense, because what we're seeing is that organizations are at different stages of their cloud journey, and like you say, they don't necessarily want to move their whole infrastructure away from on-premise to cloud. So it makes sense to have a solution that can support them as they make that transition. Yeah. And I think also the aspect of having more functionality on the cloud print platforms will increase adoption, because we've seen cloud print adoption, it's increasing, but I think that's one of the main kind of barriers to adoption, is that it doesn't have the same functionality.
Exactly.
And even performance as the on-premise environment. So yeah, I'll definitely be following that with interest. Yeah. And you mentioned the print sharing concept. I know Martin mentioned that on a previous podcast, and I think that's a really interesting concept, because we're used to having everything on subscription, and in terms of not only in technology, but in terms of normal life, and whether we hire things and so on. And I think that's interesting about sharing MFPs and printers within organizations and offices. So I think that's something that is still you're still investigating the kind of feasibility of that.
In development, we are kind of ready in some alpha stage, let's say. We are now working hard on the legal aspect of this, because we want to introduce it in multiple countries. So we need to, comply with many local laws. So from the accounting point of view, it's quite a challenge. But from the development point of view, yeah, we have some basic ideas working. So we are just waiting for the legal guys. But yeah, the printer sharing is just another let's say angle for which the MyQ Roger cloud platform can be used. Mm-hmm. Maybe just to summarize the main idea, then we want to, let's say, move the devices out of offices where the maybe the printing volume is so low that it doesn't pay off, let's say, to have a big efficient device there. So the device providers are not so happy about that. So it's not effective for them. So we want to move all those little volumes from many offices in a building on a big capable machines, let's say in some shared areas like reception. So then again, such machines will get some high volume printing, and it will become interesting again for device providers. And I would say our platform, Roger, will basically enable anybody to use that device and pay for what they are printing or scanning. So that's the main idea. But it can be extended to hotels or airports. So any shared places.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting application, because it ensures that the device is utilized or optimally, rather than as many devices sit idle for many times of the day. And it makes sense in these kind of shared public spaces. So I'd be really interested to hear more about that as that develops. So it sounds like 2024 will be a very exciting year again for MyQ in terms of its new product releases. So on that note, I really appreciate you sharing what you're doing around AI and your thoughts on how AI is being applied generally in the print industry. But in terms of predictions for next year, have you got one prediction you could share that you think will impact the print industry in 2024?
So we just discussed the print sharing, which we really hope to release in 2024, and that's one of them. And another, definitely cloud adoption in generally and particularly in printing. So now as the printing and as the cloud printing solutions are kind of maturing, so this will definitely continue. Also, companies are more willing to go to the cloud, so this will definitely continue. We want to be part of it with our MyQ Roger solution, and we want to let's say give the trends, or how to say it. And digital transformation, I think we will continue the transition to the cloud, and a little bit less paper office, let's say, so become a little bit more paperless again, hopefully not so fast for us. And probably AI will continue to disrupt the way how we work, because, for example, we as a developers also started to use AI. They are tools for developers. So I think, in my opinion, that many developers will in the future be replaced by some AI tools, because much of the coding is quite repetitive and doesn't require so much, let's say, thinking. So that's a great place for AI, which can automate these repetitive tasks, and the developers can focus on something more creative. So I think the let's say usage of AI tools generally in office and in any industry will let's say progress.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, something like Microsoft Copilot, which they announced sort of new capabilities recently. I think that's going to really be a game changer for software development. But I think potentially that type of approach can apply to printing, in terms of when you print something, an AI tool actually identifies if it's being printed, in terms of the right number of pages. Could it be printed double-sided? And I think some of those capabilities can really sort of help print be optimized. And I think, as you say, digitisation is going to continue to increase. So it's paper will start, not start, but continue to decline in the industry. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. So
I still have my notes on a paper, right? So
yeah, me too. It's definitely a generational thing as well. But I don't think paper. They've been talking about the paperless office for so many decades, and I don't think it's ever going to materialize. And I think it will move very much more to high value printing, or printing for reference. And it's still a good opportunity to minimize wasteful printing. So maybe one more thing, one more thing, which I forgot a little bit, is let's say security. So I noticed that customers and generally partners and tenders, they require more and more in terms of security. They are asking more concrete questions. They require more certifications. They ask if we have secure development lifecycle, if we provide this software bill of materials, if we do penetration tests. So this is getting more hard to pass, let's say, every year. So we are also investing a lot into security and secure development lifecycle and such things. So this is another trend, I think, which will just get stronger. Yeah, it's definitely intensifying, like you say, not just in terms of securing the printed document or the device, but actually being able to demonstrate your security credentials as a company. So
exactly,
that's definitely what we expect more of in 2024. So thanks again for joining me today. It's been really interesting to get an update from MyQ and hear more about what you're doing in the AI space. And I think next year will be a very exciting year for MyQ to launch some of the products that it's working on at the moment. So thank you again for your time. It's really appreciated.
Thank you very much, Louella, for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
So thanks for joining today's episode of In the Spotlight with Quocirca. For more information, please go to quocirca.com and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.